Sigoli Sogweg to all my students, I miss you so much. Welcome to our first Oneida Language and Culture class that's going to be online. We'd like to do one of these every week. You will also have special activities to do that will come out every 2 or 3 weeks in the Gully Weezacks. So keep an eye out for that paper. What we're going to do today is we're going to do the Thanksgiving opening. We'll do our language lesson. We're going to do a story. Then we will do review, a social dance song, and then we'll call it a day. Enjoy.
Seko sawa kweko, wanda te batala nota ne o hanta kali wa tekwa kalana. Kwayo yana le, kwayo yana le, kwayo yana le, kwayo yana le. Te atinu wala tos ne on queson a. Te atinu wala tos ye ke sta hancha. Te atinu wala tos ne oneka son a. Tunya dohak ne guani con la. Kwayo yana le, kwayo yana le. 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 Te atinu wala dos ne gajo sum a. Te atinu wala dos ne gahi sum a. Te atinu wala dos ne ohende sum a. Tunya dohak ne guani con la. Kwayo yana le, kwayo yana le. 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 Te atinu wala dos ne ojino asum a. Te atinu wala dos ne onukwa sum a. Te atinu wala dos ne odela sum a. Tunya dohak ne guani con la. Kwayo yana le, kwayo yana le. 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 Te atinu wala dos ne gayan tosala. Te atinu wala dos ne condilio. Te atinu wala dos ne oguile sum a. Tunya dohak ne aguani con la. Kwayo yana le, kwayo yana le. 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 Te atinu wala dos ne ojida ugum a. Te atinu wala dos ne la di welas. Te atinu wala dos ne gayeli ne gawelage. Tunya dohak ne guani con la. Kwayo yana le, kwayo yana le. Kwayo yana le, kwayo yana le. Kwayo yana le, kwayo yana le. Kwayo yana le, kwayo Guachi agyo kane kagala aqua. Yeti sota asotane kagala aqua. Teatinum balados ne ogistano quasum a. Tunya duhak ne aguanicola. Guayo yanale, 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 guayo yanale. Deatino valados ne kaeli ne oquetage. Tanchide nu wala dune sangwaya dizum. Guachi o yanale anahoda losa. Tanya duhak ne guanigula. Guayo yanale, guayo yanale. Guayo yanale, guayo yanale. Guayo yanale, guayo yanale, guayo yanale, guayo yanale. Yankoa.
Yawanko, Bear Fox.
April, Thunder Moon, Gasagayundeze Wehnida. Springtime, Gunguidene. It thundered, Wagasagayunt. There's lightning, Dewantle Galawanyu. He's been born, Lodunhate. A variety of bugs, Nyadiga Jitnuak. Worm or bug, Ojitnu. Butterfly, Ganao. Ants, Jonhun Stok.
Yawanko Watahin. Now story time with Michael Gelbin.
All right, this is our first live video. Tanya and I thought it would be a nice idea to share some of the stories that we've heard over the years with folks, especially since everyone's inside right now, you know, during this time of quarantine and people are all worried and nervous, you know, but it reminded me, like, back, you know, when you hear stories of people who lived in their longhouses, they would spend time indoors all winter, you know, they had things to do, but there was a lot of time spent inside, and that's when they say the stories could be told, you know. One of the favorite stories that people had was about the serpents, and they say that they didn't want to tell the stories of serpents in the winter because, or they could tell the stories of the serpents in the winter because they were sleeping, and they wouldn't seek to take revenge on them. So anyways, that's one of the reasons why people tell stories in the winter. So the story I want to tell you is one that comes from a time long ago, and it's about the Haudenosaunee people. Actually, it's about the Seneca people. And long ago, at this time of year, of course, people are now collecting maple syrup and collecting maple sap to be made into sugar and syrup. And after that time of year, people were very excited because the passenger pigeons, the pigeons would come and go to the roosting places, and the roosting places where they could eat lots of acorns and walnuts, and then of course they make their nests and have their babies in these roosting places. And it was a very exciting time, you know, when the pigeons would return, and just after maple season. And so year after year, the people would rush out to the roosting places, and they would collect as many of the hatched squab, the baby pigeons, as they could, And it got to be almost like a race, like families would go rushing out there, and then they would collect, massive amounts of pigeons. Of course, you have to remember this springtime, the early spring, people had been relying on dried foods and dried meats, and it was, not much fresh food. So when the pigeons would come, that was a big deal. And so these families would all go out there and kind of get it in a rush. It got crazy year after year. It got even crazier, where people would go earlier and earlier, and they would, almost hoard all the pigeons that they could, and it became a problem. Some of the elders weren't getting their share. Some families who didn't have a lot of members found that they couldn't collect as much, and what happened was the pigeons started to dwindle in number, and so there was a young boy who was, I should say, a young man who was growing up at that time, who was a very good-hearted and a good person, kind. He was there at this one year's pigeon hunt, and he noticed that in the morning the pigeons would all leave their trees and they'd go flying around in the air, and singing and making noise. And so he, rather than get involved in the kind of craziness of the collection, he just kind of watched them in the early morning, and he could see them flying and flying, and he listened to what they were singing. He could hear them singing like songs, and he spotted it in that big cloud of pigeons in overhead, one pigeon that was, it's described as wearing white clothing. It was a white pigeon, and so he saw it, and it must have seen him, and it came down and spoke to him and said that he was the leader of the pigeons, and that the pigeons were all very concerned about what was going on, and they wanted to deliver a message. They had been waiting for him, this young man with a kind and pure heart, And he said that the Creator had intended that the pigeons would provide sustenance and food, for the people, the human beings, and that they noticed that the people who were collecting and doing that, doing the hunt, were not using the good mind, and they were being kind of selfish and greedy. And so he said, when you watched us go up in the morning and leave our nests, what we were doing was giving thanks and telling, the Creator and all of the universe, sharing our gratitude, saying a thanksgiving. And then after that we sing our songs, And so I'm here to tell you that we want you to do that. You have to tell the people that you've got to do that. You've got to stop doing what you're doing, and you've got to remind yourselves to be thankful in the morning. And furthermore, I want you to organize yourselves different. It's not going to be a big rush anymore. People aren't going to go out there and collect greedily. He says he wants everyone to have a share of the pigeons, and so they must organize and collect from each household a certain amount of wampum and tobacco, and that when the time comes, when we return, the pigeons return, you go to the edge of our roosting area and build a fire, and you say a thanksgiving, and you use your Indian tobacco, and when you're done, you place the wampum which you collected from everyone on the side of the fire, and that will be the process to remind you to be thankful and grateful for these gifts. And then when you go back, I want you to sing these songs that we're going to teach you and show the people how to do our dance, and that will be the way that we know that you're using the good mind and will continue to benefit you. And so the boy observed and listened to all the pigeons, and they were singing and singing, and he learned the songs. And when they stopped and left the area, he went back and talked to his family first, and then the leadership, and they all agreed that they had to change their ways and to be respectful of one another and be sharing. So he taught them the first pigeon dance songs, and he taught them how to dance going around counterclockwise. He said that we dance counterclockwise because with our right hands we take things and we give things, and to be given or to give away things on the outside of the circle, your hands must be on the right side, and then on the inside where we dance is the place that's closest to our hearts. And so that's where the pigeon dance came from, and that's why people still do it till this day. All right, Nyawa.
Yawanko, Michael. Now it's time for review with me. Galuhyago. Repeat after me. Gasagayan days e wiknido. Dewan late galawanyu. Wagasa gayunt. Lodun higt. Ojit nu. Ganao. Jonhun stok. Now we're going to do just the first four. Repeat after me. Gasagayan days e wiknido. Dewan late galawanyu. Wagasa gayunt. Lodun higt. Gasagayan days e wiknido. Dewan late galawanyu. Wagasa gayunt. Lodun higt. Gasagayan days e wiknido. Dewan late galawanyu. Wagasa gayunt. Lodun higt. Gasagayan days e wiknido. Dewan late galawanyu. Wagasa gayunt. Lodun higt. Now the last three. Ojit nu. Ganao. Jonhun stok. 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 Let's see if you can say all of them with me. Swahalega. Gasagayan days e wiknido. Dewan late galawanyu. Wagasa gayunt. Lodun higt. Ojit nu. Ganao. Jonhun stok. Yoyane swagwig. Now let's listen to the pigeon dance. Nugiwaswagweg. Good job listening.